Hi there, Fiber Friends. We are back here in the new year, finally. Thank you for tuning into the Fiber Artist Podcast. Head to neuromastudio.com to get 20% off your next purchase using the code PODSQUAD. We have a huge selection of premium cotton and recycled cotton, rope and string, merino wool yarn and roving, or recycled silks and ribbons. If you're enjoying these episodes, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or a comment on the videos on YouTube. Any little bit helps. Or just tell your friends, Thank you for supporting by continuing to join me for each episode. I really appreciate it. And today's guest, I loved getting to know her. It is the incredibly talented Fanny Zedenius. You might know her from her beautiful Instagram account, Createaholic, or perhaps you've learned to knot from one of her 2 macrame books, Macrame, The Craft of Creative Knotting for Your Home, which has sold over 100,000 copies worldwide. It's been translated into a bunch of languages as well. Or her second book, Macrame 2, Accessories, Homewares, and More, How to Take Your Knotting to the Next Level. Coming to us from Stockholm, Sweden, Fanny chats with us about having a pandemic baby and about the struggles of motherhood and juggling her many, many time-consuming creative projects and supply shop. I honestly don't know how she does it. You can find Fanny online at createaholic.se. All right, I think that's it for my rambling. I hope you enjoy this episode. It's interesting. I want to talk to you about COVID and Sweden, actually. But first, Can you please introduce yourself? Just give your first and last name and where people can find you online and on Instagram or wherever you want them to go.
Yes. So my name is Fanny Zedenius. That's how you pronounce it in Swedish.
Oh, wait, say it again. Pronounce it slowly for me.
Fanny Zedenius.
Okay.
Yeah. It's more like funny. But yeah, so it's not Fanny.
Okay.
But I'm always I always feel a little bit awkward saying my name in English because you know why. And I lived in Australia when I was 9 and went to an Australian school, and they told my parents, change her name. That can be her name. Does she have a second name? Maria. Okay. Her name is Maria from now on.
Oh, that's so funny because actually here in America, Fanny, when they use it, whatever, in a slang way, it's the butt. But I think in Britain and Australia, it's vagina, right?
Yeah.
So either way, it's not great.
Yeah, I was screwed. And I mean, it's not better. It's the same. Yeah, my name is Fanny. That's not better. So for one day I was called Maria, but then my parents. Yeah. So
that's
weird.
So random too.
And then my parents were like, no, let's just change the last letter. So they changed it to A, which would have made it Fana, but then the Aussies couldn't pronounce that, so they made it Fanny. So for me, it's much more natural to say, yeah, my name is Fanny if I'm talking English.
Oh,
so.
Interesting. Okay, wow. Well, so we have to talk about your whole time in Australia too. But
you can find me online on Instagram at Createaholic, and you can find my website createaholic.se. .com was unfortunately taken.
Oh. Boo.
And yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you for agreeing to come on today. I'm very excited to chat with you. I mean, it's been forever. I feel like that I've been following you and admiring your work. It's so beautiful. And the lemon tree behind you. I was actually just looking at your Instagram this morning and you showed the process of how you made that. It's so awesome.
Thank you.
Wait, so you mentioned you were in Australia for how long and when?
Yeah, so my whole family, when I was 8, we moved to just outside Sydney for a year because my dad got a job that lasted a year. And I went to an Australian school, and I had a proper Australian accent.
Oh, wow.
Very actively worked to ruin when I came back.
Yeah. Was it hard to adjust to life over there, or did it feel, I mean, I guess when you're 8 years old, you're just very, you're resilient and.
Yeah, sure. But I knew yes, no, 1, 2, 3 in English. I didn't speak English.
Oh.
So I was put in school without knowing the language, and I didn't have my own name, so I was like without.
Oh God, you poor thing.
Yeah, so it was a bit scary, but then it was one of the best years of my life still.
Wow. Did you go
And,
in? Did your
yeah,
family move knowing it was only going to be for a year, or?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. My dad's a surgeon, a doctor, so
Mhm.
Sweden and Australia have a lot of exchange programs.
Oh,
So,
I
yeah.
see. And do you have any other siblings?
Yes, I have two younger sisters,
Oh,
and
nice.
they're 2 and 4 years younger. So they also went to school and preschool.
Yeah, at least you had them. Wow, that's awesome. So that is that where you learned how to speak English, really?
Um, Probably, yeah. Well, yes, that's how I learned to speak English. But to be fair, like everybody in Sweden talks English rather
That's
well.
what I was thinking. That you guys are all like bi and trilingual. Like everyone in
Yeah,
Europe, I feel like just speaks more languages than everyone in America. We all kind of suck on that on that front.
well, it's a useful language to know, so there's no need really to like
Yeah.
learn languages, unfortunately.
Right. Kind of. I don't know. I think it would all just make us smarter in general if we learned them better. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I mean, you're so artistic in so many different ways.
Thank you.
Were you always like as a child? Were you always kind of crafty and artistic? And tell me about
Yeah.
your life growing up and how you ended up sort of finding fiber.
Yeah, so definitely have always been a createaholic. um, I've always like painted and drawn, and later on I started like sewing my own clothes. I looked completely ridiculous, but that's another story. And yeah, I was just like I had creative projects going on all the time. I didn't necessarily finish all of them,
Mhm.
but I needed that in my life always. And then I just never thought it would be something that I would be working with. I didn't see that as a career at all. Mostly because I felt like, yeah, well, in my case, I tire of different mediums very quickly. Like when I finished with this knitting project or whatever, I want to do something else. I want to go paint or, you know. So I was like, it's not an option for me because I'm just gonna get tired of it.
Right.
And
Right.
then, yeah, so I started studying at university. So I studied international relations for almost 5 years. And I started an internship while I was doing my master's. And I was so stressed. I was like the most stressed I had been in my whole life. And my sisters said to me, like, why don't you open an Instagram to show your different creative projects, like as a side thing?
Yeah.
And so I did that in 2014 and just showed like different I was making, like furniture and jewelry and I don't know, paintings and different stuff. And then
You're making furniture, like woodworking?
no, not really woodworking, but I made a sofa out of wooden pallets and a
Oh,
bed
wow.
and
Okay.
yeah, different things. Um, and so at some point in late 2014, I saw a picture of macrame. And I was like, what is that? I've never seen anything like it. I have to learn it. So I like Googled and found some knot illustrations
Mm-hmm.
and made my first plant hanger. And I was so hooked. And from then on, I was just doing macrame in all my spare time
Yeah.
after my studies and my internship. And yeah, and it just took all the stress away.
Oh, that's awesome.
It just went away. So, and yeah, I didn't get tired of it, which was
Yeah.
new for me. I just wanted to continue, And I started getting questions on Instagram, like, do you sell your things? So I started selling them. I quickly decided that I wanted to start a business and not just do it as a hobby. So I set up my business, and then I started getting questions like, yeah, do you do workshops? So I started doing workshops, and yeah, back then there were no supplies.
Right.
Anywhere. So people were like, where are you getting your supplies? So I started selling some supplies, and
Yeah, and the rest is history. So it sounds like you were kind of looking for, maybe a little bit of therapy in a way, like fiber therapy, but also an out. Like, it sounds like you really did not love the international relations career part.
I did though. I did enjoy it, and I was completely set on continuing. But I also had I had an end point in mind, because my studies were going to finish and my internship was going to finish. It actually led to a year of work there, but I knew it was just for a year. And my partner and I, Simon, we decided to take a 1-year trip around the world right when I finished, because it was a great timing, and it was something we both wanted to do. So I was finishing my job either way,
Right.
And simultaneously, I got a book offer from a publisher in the UK.
Oh, that was happening as you were still working. Oh,
yes.
I didn't realize that. Wow.
So I was still working, and I was planning this trip around the world. So I was like, I'm sorry, I can't do it.
Oh,
I don't think I've got the time, because I'm going away and it's so soon. That was spring 2016, and we were leaving late summer. So, but they convinced me, and I quit my job a little earlier.
Oh, nice.
Worked around the clock to finish.
Wow. When you got that proposal to do that, I don't know. And also, you're young. I didn't realize how young you are. So you were only working for a year.
No, I started studying at uni late. So,
okay.
I'm 34.
Okay. Okay. So, but either way, right? When given the opportunity to do a book, how did you feel? Were you completely overwhelmed, or did you have a plan of attack on how, did they help you through the process, or how did that all go?
Back then, so it was early 2016, I was completely why aren't there any modern books about macrame? Somebody should do that. Somebody's gonna do that. That was my thought. It's gonna happen. Somebody's gonna do that soon. And then I got this email, and I was like, yeah, I know what you mean. This is somebody needs to do this.
Right.
You want me? And yeah, I was very flattered and completely terrified, but it's not something you say no to.
Right.
So
obviously not. No way. And look at how much it's grown too. So you've done 2 macrame books. Do you have any plans to do a third?
Maybe. We'll see.
Very mysterious. What'd you say?
I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, nice. Wait, so did you do your trip around the world, or did you end up? Okay.
Yeah, so I worked my ass off that whole spring and summer, just making all the macrame and writing and then illustrating. And then we left to go to New Zealand in, I think it was early September. And I finished the last pages and last drawings on the trip. So
wow.
The illustrations in the first book is from my trips around the world. I'm sitting at a cafe in Thailand, illustrating and trying to find a decent scanner and then decent internet to send it.
Oh my gosh. That must have been an interesting experience, because when you were planning the trip around the world, did you want it to be more of a non-working, relaxing trip, and then it turned into a work trip?
Uh, that was the plan. Yes. Well, we had some plans of working along the way, like maybe working at farms or something like that.
Nice.
But it felt really good because 1 year without working, it's a long
Right.
time.
Like do you sort of, you would lose purpose in a way?
Yeah, it was actually really good that I had that. So, and I traveled with some rope all the time because I was like so addicted still. So,
Totally.
yeah.
So were you selling supplies at that time, or were you like, did you put your shop on hold? I don't think I know
Yeah.
what was going on in like that
No,
time period.
I had to put it on hold, and it
Okay.
was a little bit frustrating.
Right. I mean,
Uh,
because the income, your income stops. Uh,
well, not just that, but like you lose momentum. Like it was
right.
just the rise, and then I went away, and my book was gonna launch when I was still out traveling. So I wanted to be like home to take advantage of that moment. So
Yeah.
yeah, we left to go back home 1 month earlier, so we were
I
out
see.
for 11 instead of 12 months.
Okay. Wow. I mean, you still got a good 11 months. That's
Yeah.
amazing. What was out of all the places you went to, what would you say were like the top three?
That's the most common question, and it's so hard to answer.
Really?
Yeah, we had like a couple of really uh, great places, really great moments on that trip, and one was at uh, like a, an old man's house that we just followed him in our camper van in Australia.
Hmm.
We like met him when we were hiking, and we asked him like, where do you think we should park tonight? If you were us, where would you go? And he was like, if I were you, I would camp at my place. So we followed him, and he had this like natural reserve sort of, and he had built his own cabin in the woods, and we got to spend a night there by ourselves, and it was magical. So that was
Wow.
one. And then Kenya was super cool. Like super, super cool.
That sounds awesome. Did you do like
Yeah.
safari trips and things like that?
Um, Not in Kenya. We did like volunteer work there.
Hmm. What sort of
Uh,
volunteer work?
we were on an island in Lake Victoria and helped a guy who runs a nonprofit there. Like we helped him set up a web page and
Oh,
stuff like that.
nice.
And then, yeah, Colombia was another uh, really cool trip. I met up with a follower of mine. I was like, now I'm in Colombia. She's like, I live here. Come here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, and it was. She lived in a paradise. Like
Oh,
they had
really?
5 avocado trees, 10 mango trees, and like.
Oh, that's the
Yeah.
best.
Hmm.
Nothing better than like a fresh mango or a fresh avocado right off the tree. That's awesome. Wait, so when you were in Kenya, how did you hook up with like the volunteer? Was it like your
Uh,
company, or how did that work out?
it was a website where they listed different organizations you
Oh,
could
cool.
contact. So yeah,
Oh, that's very cool. So
yeah.
the whole time you're on this trip too, you're working on your book. Like, were you taking photographs of the work and doing all that, like all the step by step things while you were traveling?
Um, no, so we had a photo shoot. I'm not the photographer in my books. It's
Okay.
a brilliant photographer called Kim Lightbody, who has shot both books. And we had a photo session before leaving on the trip in Sweden. So
Oh,
it's
I
shot in
see.
Sweden, and yeah,
So at least you had the photos done before you
yeah,
left. Oh,
yeah.
good,
I
good,
had
good.
most of the stuff done,
Okay.
most of the illustrations and most of the texts done.
Oh, wow. God,
Yeah.
it sounds so fun and also so stressful having
Yeah.
to do it on the road and like
It was
have
fun.
internet connection, like something simple like that. Like I feel like those logistics are hard to get around or whatever.
I know, and I like I said, I turned them down at first because I didn't think it was going to be possible at all, because we
Yeah.
were in really remote places where we had no internet connection for days. And yeah, and I got a copy, my first copy of my first book. I got it when we were in Cape Town. So they sent it to me there, and I
Oh, wow.
opened it and had a look at it in Cape Town. It's like
It's
surreal.
so surreal. Oh my gosh. Like, because on
Um,
top of like, even if you were home and you were receiving your first, the first draft of the book, probably would have been crazy feeling. But then you're like completely in a place that's unfamiliar. And I mean, yeah, I imagine those moments are so burned into your memory because it's extra different. You know what I mean?
yeah. Totally, totally. It was so surreal.
That's awesome. What a cool feeling. So yeah, the thing is that you are artistic in so many different ways. And I'm curious, especially with with Instagram, your photography is beautiful. The processes of all the things that you do are so time consuming and also just really beautiful. Is this are you working alone on all of this, or does your partner help, or what's your home
No,
process?
it's all me.
Yeah.
He
Oh my
has his
God.
own job. Yeah, for me, the whole taking photos and video editing and photo editing, all that's something very creative for me as well. I love the creative process of that, and I spend way too much time on it. Like I could be spending way less
Well,
time
no,
on
but
that, but
it takes that much time. That's the thing, and I think that it shows so much in the quality of your Instagram. Like, I think many people just kind of you post what you can, you go, but it's like every single post that you do is like you can tell that each one is a piece of artwork in itself instead of just like a random photo. You know what I mean? Like every single one, I'm like, oh my God, how does she have this time? And
oh,
especially
thank
now you're a mom,
oh
right?
yeah, that's why I'm not posting that much. Oh yeah.
So so let me see. So Noah was born when?
He
Was that
was
before the pandemic or right after?
born on the day that WHO said this is a pandemic. That was March 11th.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, he's yeah,
He's a
he
pandemic
doesn't know
baby.
that. Yeah.
That's funny. That was
So
my
that
due date. That was my due date for my first kid. He
he,
ended up being born on the 14th, but yeah, that was totally
okay.
my due date.
Yeah, Noah's was on leap day 29.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Oh, so
yes.
you went way over.
Yeah. And I felt like I could have gone on way longer than
Really?
that.
So
Yes, I wasn't, yeah,
did
I wasn't uncomfortable even. Like,
really? Oh my gosh, you're lucky.
yeah,
Did you end up
sorry,
having to
yeah.
be induced?
No, if he'd have been, I think 3 days later, they would have induced
I
me.
see.
But yeah, thankfully I didn't have to.
Yeah. How was labor and delivery and all that?
Wow. It was a roller coaster. That's how I best describe it. It was like, well, I was in complete denial my whole pregnancy. Like, I knew there was a baby in there, but I was also like, that's just a very strange concept.
Right.
And I was like, as we were getting closer to the due date, I was like, okay, I have to realize that there's a baby coming. But it was still very, very hard.
I
And
know.
like things were going, starting, I was like, no, I think it's gases.
Even after 11 days over, or however many days. It's like 11. Yeah. You're 12,
Yeah.
12 days over.
Yeah. And Simon was like, I think that this is maybe not gases because they're quite like regular and intense. So he started like clocking them because they started during the night. And in the morning he decided to stay home from work, and I was like, yeah, but maybe something is starting now, but either way, it's gonna be like so many hours. So can you please help me pack my orders?
Oh no.
And he was like, yeah, well, I'm not gonna argue with her at this point. So
Oh my God.
he like printed out the list of orders and started packing everything, and I couldn't even get out of bed. So I was like in bed, and he came and like held all the spools of rope and like, is this
What color?
yeah, is this 5mm or 3mm? Okay.
Totally. It's so funny because my husband will be like, well, if I'm really busy, he'll be like, can I help? And I'm like, no, you don't know anything. Just go. You know, like,
Actually, Simon knows 98%.
that's
now.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was in denial, and then when it started, finally, like my water broke, and then it started hurting.
Mhm.
Then it's like, this is not gases.
Yeah. It comes on
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah.
Nice. So
it
then
went well in the end, but
good.
yeah.
That's good. So then you get out of the hospital and you're like, oh, we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Exactly.
But Sweden did not lock down, right? You guys didn't
No,
have like
no.
did it feel fairly like normal to you?
It was well, no. It definitely didn't. Like we didn't have lockdown per se, but we had, I guess you would call it like voluntary restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, people were following them. So people started working from home, and yeah, we can visit our elders, and yeah. So my uncle, he got COVID, and I think he died like a couple of days later, and nobody got to say goodbye, and yeah. So
I'm so
it
sorry.
definitely feel normal,
Right.
We were in the baby bubble, and being winter, spring, we would have like stayed isolated either way to like avoid different dangerous viruses. So in that way, we weren't like adjusting so much.
Mm-hmm.
But as time went on, it was not normal.
Right.
I had Simon at home all the time, which actually was really great. I think I would have gone nuts because none of my friends had babies, and all of the like regular things that new moms do here, like meet up with other moms and have like mom groups and stuff, that was just canceled. So yeah, I was at home and I continued working.
Yeah. I mean, it's like isolating times 1,000 for sure.
Mm.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm trying to think back. So like, because in Korean culture, you're supposed to stay home. The mom has to stay home for at least a month because they don't want you to experience any cold drafts on your body so that the mom heals, which is really nice because so like my mom stayed so that she could like help and like cook everything. And like the only time I was allowed to leave the house was to go to doctor's appointments, like, your wellness checkups for the baby. And and like I kept thinking like I was so grateful for that forced time to not do anything. And I always wonder like how people 2 weeks after they have a baby, they're like out and about and working. Like some people are working and you got to do what you have to do. But I'm like, oh my God, like it's so hard. Like your body is wrecked, your pelvis is all loose and like, you need time to get your bones back together, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you were like in full isolation mode. Did you, because it's hard to have a baby anyway, right? It's hard to be a new mom. And like, did you feel like, I guess you probably there's no baseline for you to understand, I guess, if you would have been more anxious or less anxious?
No, I don't think I'm not that like anxious as a person. I don't think. So I wasn't that anxious about COVID, affecting us, like the baby, Noah, and me and Simon. I was scared for my parents. So yeah, but Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's good. You kind of got to be in your little cocoon in the house, and that's nice. So, is your family in Sweden? Are your parents in Sweden?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are they
All of
close
them.
by?
Um, well, my parents and one of my sisters all live in Stockholm, and another sister of mine lives on the other side in Gothenburg. So
Okay.
we meet up every now and then.
Nice.
We're a very knit family.
Yeah. You're in Stockholm, right?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm in Stockholm.
So now that you do have a baby, do you feel like motherhood has changed like the way that you either approach your work / career? Do you feel more relaxed, less relaxed, more purposeful? Like, I'm just wondering if there have been any.
Yeah, I wish I could answer. Yeah, I'm like using it to take my business to the next level or whatever. But actually, I'm mostly quite frustrated that I don't have the time I want. Yeah. Like, I knew it was going to be different. I knew it. But still, I had no idea. I used to be one of those people who worked from morning until like 2 a.m, and I'd still have energy because the creativity would give me energy. And now I can't. I'm too tired in the evenings. So a lot of my creative outlet has just gone out the window.
I know.
And yeah, it's been frustrating, but I'm learning to accept it, and I'm adjusting my business to be able to make more room for the creative parts.
Yeah, I know. I empathize a great deal. It's crazy how much time, and even when they're in school. So I mean, Noah's in daycare now, right? But even then, it's like the day flies by. And you're like, what did I do? It's like by the time you brush your teeth, have some coffee, possibly take a shower or something, like it's like half done. And you probably have to go grocery shopping. I mean, there's all these things that need to be done, and the day's like half gone already.
Yeah, Noah started daycare in like late August, September last year. And that summer before he started, I was so frustrated and irritated. I just wanted to be working, and I couldn't because Simon had to go back to work a little earlier from his paternity leave. And I just felt so stuck, you know? And I was longing for this time when he was going to go to daycare. And, at the same time, you have all these, like, how do you say? I was feeling bad for not wanting to spend every single second. Yeah, guilt. Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
I had mom guilt.
Totally.
And also, I did want to spend every minute with him. So it was like this internal battle. But I was longing for this moment when he would start daycare. And when he started, since then, I think we've had like 10 or 15 different illnesses.
Oh, totally.
And it doesn't even feel like
it doesn't help. I know.
It's the same. So I'm just waiting for his immune system to really kick in and being able to work full time.
Yeah.
Or at least close to full time.
Yeah.
Because now also the daycare center, all the personnel, they're sick with COVID and one thing after the other. So they have shortened the amount of time you can be there. And they may even have to close down completely. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I was going to ask, like, what are the protocols there? Like, if one person tests positive, do they close it down for a week or anything? Because that's like the way our schools work. It's like close contacts. So if the kids sit around the kid who tests positive, then those kids have to quarantine for, I think now it's 5 days. Even if they're showing negative tests and all that stuff, because it doesn't show up for a while, Yeah. So what are the protocols there?
Well, the protocol is basically to inform and look out for symptoms.
Yeah. Okay.
So, no.
Yeah. It is truly like just waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
I know. It sounds terrible, but a part of me is just like, if we could know for sure that what we were going to get was Omicron, I would be like, let's just do it. Let's just do it and get it over with. You know what I mean? Because it's like,
Yeah.
even like the waiting for it is almost worse than,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But at the same time, my friends who are having it now, it's probably Omicron, and they're losing taste and smell, and I really don't want that. So
I know. You know what's crazy? I had in 2008, I got so sick, like so sick, and I thought it was strep throat. And I remember going to the doctor. I'd never felt so deathly ill before, and I remember going to the doctor, and they like tested me for strep, and then it came back, and they're like, it's not strep, but. And then I remember them saying something about animals, and I was like, what the hell? Like I remember I had like gone to a farm right before I got sick. I'm like, maybe I got something from the animals. I don't know. But now what happened was, after that sickness, I was probably in bed for a week, and maybe 2 weeks later, I got this really weird taste and smell. Like it wasn't gone. It was altered. Like everything sort of smelled like gasoline all the time, or like metal in my mouth. And let me tell you, this lasted for 8 years. 8 years. And now that I look back, I think I had H1N1. Because that was around the time that was going around. And I had the taste and smell thing. And I'm like, and now that everyone's losing it, I'm like, I feel so seen. I'm like, you guys don't understand. I dealt with it for 8 years. And the only thing that would help me, like I would do these saline sprays, and I'd have to, this sounds so insane. I was like at a wedding, and I had to do this. I had to flip my head upside down so that the saline would go all the way up into my brain, basically. And it would hit some kind of receptors that would mask whatever the terrible taste and smell I constantly had in my nose was. And so it would be enough for me to eat for like 20 minutes, because otherwise food tasted like shit. Like everything tasted so bad. And it was like I just had a constant like,
that's a nightmare.
It was horrible. And it finally like fully went away after my first kid. And it was like I guess it was gradual, but I remember joining a Yahoo group that was like a parosmia Yahoo group, and some people were able to go to this doctor in Massachusetts that did cocaine therapy, where he would put liquid cocaine into your nose, and it actually helped them. And I was like, so I'm like I was trying to get to go to this doctor. I was so desperate.
Yeah.
And I found an ENT, an ear, nose, throat doctor around me who would do lidocaine therapy. So he would stick like lidocaine, liquid lidocaine up there, and it would work for like an hour. And he was like, well, maybe over time we can just reset you. So come like once a month and we'll try to reset it. That didn't really, it would work for an hour or two, which would be great. So I would eat like good for like an hour, and I'd be like, oh, this is so good. The food finally tastes normal. And then, it was the weirdest thing. But now I'm like, see, this is what was happening, you guys. I wasn't crazy. I mean, it was the strangest.
Don't tell them that you had it for 8
years. I know.
Years, though. Well, they're gonna panic.
I know. So far, it seems like most people are getting it back at least within 6 months or something. I know some people it's going on a year, and I'm like, you're gonna be okay. You'll live. If I live through it, you can live through it. But it was horrible now that I think about it.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
I know. I think what I really don't want is like the people who have really long COVID with the fatigue, where they're like, I'm tired constantly for 6 months. Mm-hmm. Like that's something
that's what I was most afraid of in the beginning. Yeah,
totally.
Because I'm tired as it is.
Of course. I know. You probably still don't have your sleep back, really. Is Noah sleeping through the night?
No, he has never a single night slept through the whole night. No. But he's not like really super fussy. He just wakes up and wants to come to our bed.
Okay. So he just falls asleep with you. But then that's still not good sleep for you.
No.
Right?
You're always like half awake listening to if he's calling you, So,
and like then you're like worried you're going to roll over on them, and oh God, I know. It's hard, but it will not be forever. It gets better as they get older.
Thanks.
My sister always, I have an older sister, and she always used to just say, like, by the time at least they're 3 years old, 3 is like the magic number where they get more independent, and you know, you're not worried about them like just bumping into things all the time or falling down the stairs and things like that, where you can just relax a little more. And she's right. As soon as my youngest turned 3, like things finally got fun. Like I feel like for for the first years, you love them, but it's not that fun. Newborns are boring. Newborns are boring. 1-year-olds are terrifying, you know, because they're walking, but so clumsy, you know, and like, yeah, it's right. It's true. Like as soon as they're kind of like out of diapers, and 3 is a good age.
Yeah. I have to say, I think we have a lot of fun, but like we're also very tired. But it's a balance, you know. But we're laughing a lot because he's a little weirdo, and he's starting to talk now. So, it's fun.
The talking phase is fun for sure. As soon as they start communicating with you a little bit, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So how is Simon liking fatherhood?
He's loving it. You know, he really loves it.
That's good.
He's a really great dad.
Oh,
and
good.
He's very calm with him and patient, whereas Noah is not with him. Like he's very much like, stop, daddy, I only want mommy.
Oh yeah. Oh, good. Totally.
And I'm the one who makes all the food in our household, and Noah he's been very picky with food. He's not a great eater. Mm-hmm. And Simon makes so great food, and he's like, no, I don't want it.
Yeah, I know. I'm there. I'm still there. My older one will pretty much still won't eat like anything good. If I could, I mean, I'm going to give you some unsolicited advice, because I feel like if I had a third kid, I would get it right. So here's what I did. So my first kid, I think I was just, what happened was I got, my kids are 19 months apart. So I basically got pregnant when my younger one was 9 months old. And it was a little accident. But what happened, so then by the time he's like eating, because he was really good for his first year of eating solid foods. He kind of would eat like whatever we gave him. And then, no, not the first year. I'm sorry. It was like, you know, they eat solids from 6 months. So 6 months to 1 year. But the minute he turned 1 year old, he became super picky. And at that point I was sending him to daycare too. And I think they just would give him what out of his lunchbox, like what he would eat, which was the crackers and the yogurt, because it was all sweet, and the fruit. Yeah. So all the sweet stuff he would eat. And then by the time my second one came around, I was just so tired. So it was like, you know, I had my older one bugging me all the time. He's a toddler, but he would only eat like crackers and just like junk and like pouches and stuff. And I was just too tired to make him try to eat real food. You know, I was like, whatever he likes, like just give him whatever he likes. Like, so it's plain pasta and chicken. This is like, you know, the shitty American food. And I realized with my second one, I was like, okay, well, obviously they eat sweet stuff really readily. Like fruit is easy. So I ended up not giving my younger one enough fruit. Now he will not touch a fruit, but he likes broccoli and he'll eat cauliflower. So he'll eat the stuff I was for. Like because with him, I got so strict about the sweets. I was like, no, you know, like obviously his tongue is going to adjust to sweets so easily. So I gave him, like for snacks, I would give him steamed broccoli and steamed cauliflower. So now he'll still eat that. But it's like, they're both picky about meats. I don't know, whatever. So I'm realizing what I should have done, and what I had planned this with the first one too. I read these books about baby-led weaning, about how you just give them what's on your plate. And I tried it with my first, but he was like gagging so much in the beginning and we just got too scared. You know, it's first kid, like you're just too scared about all the gagging and stuff. And so I was like, forget it. I'll just do the purees. So I would make the food and just gave him the mushy purees. And I now realize the baby-led weaning is the way to go. Let them feel all the texture and just have them eat off your plate. That's it. And no other choices, even though it's so frustrating. Like, and they're whiny about wanting other foods. You don't even make it an option. Like, it's hard because of the whining.
Yeah. for us, we had a problem from the get-go. I think he was like 4 months or 5 months, probably 5 months when he got sick. And then we had to give him medicine, like through a little needle thing.
The syringe,
Yes, syringe, thanks. And it was like torture. So he hated that. So as soon as we would approach him with something, he would just freak out. And we feel like probably he associated anything coming into his mouth that wasn't me with like
the medicine flavor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, and even though he's forgotten about that, like a long time ago, I still think that he got his relationship with food from that. So then we had to, when we were like desperate, we had to start bribing him with like, okay, we'll read you a book if you eat. And then we were just stuck in this vicious cycle. So he wouldn't eat if we weren't reading. And then,
Right.
So it's gotten a little bit better, but, it's still always a struggle. He has never had like a plate and just been like, oh, I want to eat this because I'm hungry and I want to eat.
It's all just like trying to distract him. And oh my God, that's so hard. So it's not even like, it doesn't sound like he's actually picky about particular foods. He's just he doesn't want to eat. Oh, no. Wow. Okay, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's very frustrating, but yeah, he eats sandwiches.
Okay, that's good.
It's something.
It is. That's good. Yeah, that's better than nothing, honestly. Will he do the same thing with like, the easy foods like crackers and things like that?
No, he eats some of that,
but you don't want to. You don't want to overdo that either, because then he's just going to become a cracker.
We don't want to give him options, just like you said.
Exactly.
We want to eat broccoli. Like that's it. You're not getting anything else. This is it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, do we give in or do we put him to bed without any food at all? So.
Which is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to say, nope, nothing else. I know it's so hard. It's the hardest thing ever.
With the reading books cold turkey, so we'll see how it goes.
Oh my gosh. It's so like amazing to me that your bribe is reading books. Because it's such a healthy bribe.
We've had screen time as well, so.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. He'll get over it. I think he'll get over it. So he's what? He's not 2 yet. He's about to turn 2, right? All right. He'll get better. And at school, I mean, I assume at daycare, there's a little bit of peer pressure to eat too, because everyone around him is eating, maybe.
We thought so, but that didn't work. He's had some days when he's eating well, and they're like, today he ate.
Good. Is his growth, are his growth patterns okay though? Even with the pickiness?
They are somehow. I think he's like a little bit on the lighter side and shorter, maybe, but he's been on his curve for a long time, so we're not worried in that sense. So
yeah, good. That's great. All right, well, let's talk about a little bit more about your creative aspirations right now. I know like time is so limited with you, and the fiber art stuff takes so long. I mean, honestly, the painting stuff takes a long time too. But like what are I'm sure you have all these projects in your head that you would love to be working on, and
so since my time has become so limited, I've spent a lot of the portion of my work time on the fiber supply side. So I am trying to find ways of making that more streamlined and efficient, so I don't have to spend all day on
packing orders. Yeah. I mean, isn't that the craziest thing? Honestly, when I got into the fiber supply side, I was like, oh, cool. I'm going to do this so that I have more time to make.
Exactly.
And that backfired a whole lot because I don't make anything anymore. I mean, like I want to, but I truly don't have time. And I have one girl who helps me out like twice a week. I mean, honestly, things are actually a lot slower right now. I think,
Yes,
I don't
same
know.
here.
Is it for you too? I actually wonder, like, what's happening? Is it globally or is it?
I think it's globally. I think I mean, the pandemic, that was like for all of us, I think we were like, what is happening?
Like crazy busy. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And
I know. I kind
I
of got
think,
used to that. I was like, oh, so this is what it's going to be coming now. I'm like, wait, what's going
yeah,
on?
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I think we have to get used to the idea that some of those people tried it for the first time and then maybe don't want to pursue it. But we have a lot of the fiber art community has grown like in total still.
Big time, yeah.
So I think we're going to end up above the pre-pandemic
right.
levels, but a little lower than the pandemic because that was not normal.
No, it was not. It was quite insane now that I think back to it. And it also just because there was a shortage, there was also like a rope shortage for a while. So then it was like the demand got crazy and we couldn't fulfill it, you know? Yeah. What a weird time. I never thought having like a craft business would be recession proof or whatever, pandemic proof. And I was like, who knew?
Who knew? Yeah. But so my plan is to sort of make sure that I don't have to spend that much time on that part, even though I really love it. And like, I feel like I have such a great relationship with my customers and stuff like that. But I have to make some priorities. So we'll see how that goes. And then what I'm working on right now is a Domestica course.
Oh, good.
You know Domestica?
Yes, of course. I'm actually going to be talking to someone in about 2 weeks who's coming out with her course, I think, in the spring. So,
Yay. I'm not sure when mine's coming out, but we're going to be filming in March. Okay. So,
nice.
Super excited.
What are you going to make? Can you say, like, you don't have to tell me exactly, but in general?
Yeah, it's going to be focused on macro weaving.
Okay.
So, but
awesome.
Yeah, so that's super exciting. I'm going to Madrid, Spain. To show. And it feels surreal because I felt like, well, I'm done with traveling. That's not going to happen in life anymore. Like, I felt like that, but yeah.
That'll be great. How long will you be there?
Just a week.
Okay. And are you going to bring Simon and Noah, or will they stay home so you can have a little fun?
I think I'm going to go there at first for myself, but I think Simon wants to join so we can have like a longer vacation afterwards.
Oh, good.
So
yeah, you got to make the most of the travel. Like, honestly,
exactly.
It's been such a long time too.
Yeah. And so I think he's going to meet up with us there.
Cool.
When I'm done.
That's awesome. So that's going to be in March. And then, so what do you think you'll launch like in the summer?
I haven't talked to them about that. So I actually don't know how long it takes. I should probably know, but yeah.
Have you planned out exactly the project you're going to do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
So it's going to be a wall hanging. Obviously, maybe. But yeah.
Do they have you like sketch something out and like submit it, or do you kind of just explain in general terms what you're gonna create?
I made a sketch. Okay. You know, I like illustrating, so I felt like that was natural.
Yeah.
To describe what it was gonna be and then just make a little sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's very exciting.
Yeah. So that's my main focus right now.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
And are you working on commissions or anything like that, or are you not taking those at the moment?
Right now, no.
Okay.
Don't have the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to do more of like selling individual patterns, like for different projects. That can be like an extension of my books. It's been my plan since I made the first book, but it's honestly so much time.
It's so much time, I know.
Yeah, when you don't have the contract, like you have to finish on that date, there you prioritize other stuff.
Yeah.
That's more, has to come first.
Yep, I totally understand. Do you have anyone helping you on the supply side, like where you're like helping you pack orders or anything?
Simon. No, I don't. It's like a very huge commitment in Sweden to become an employee. There are very strict rules and laws about it. So I feel like that would be a huge step for me to take. And I'm definitely not ready for that.
Right.
You have to like pay attention.
Right, to become an employer.
Yeah.
Even if it's a part-time worker, you still have to do all that?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how we avoid like, you know, all the things that the extra taxes and workers' comp and pension stuff is like if they work less than 40 hours, then they're like basically a contractor.
Okay.
Or you can choose to do that. You can choose to have them be like an official employee, or you can choose to have them be a contractor.
Yeah, I guess you could make something like that as well here, but I just feel like it would be a huge undertaking to learn on all the rules and stuff. So I'm doing it by myself, and I have Simon to help me out when I've got too much to do. We like put on Netflix and sit and pack the orders together.
That's amazing that he knows everything now and he knows all the colors and stuff. Oh my gosh.
It messes up the thicknesses, but
that's understandable.
With me first.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh my gosh. Well, I think that's all I really wanted to ask. Oh no, I was curious about just like the way, well, I don't know, I guess we kind of talked about it. The way that Sweden dealt with COVID was so different than the way that the United States did. And we kept looking to you guys being like, I wonder what's going to happen over there. Do you feel like, I guess I wonder, how do you feel about how they handled it? And was it like too lax, or was it like, you know, the perfect amount of freedom and independence and making your own choices?
It's very hard to say. It's people are not like all Swedes don't agree like yes it was perfect or no it was awful. There are many different opinions here as well, but I think like in the beginning I think people were very they complied with the rules and it seemed to be working sort of. What we didn't do well was handling our care of elders. We lost a lot of older people to COVID in the beginning. But yeah, I think that if you look at the numbers, we're not we're doing better than some countries that went into lockdown, and we're doing a little bit worse than our Scandinavian neighbors. Yeah. So I think it's like some things definitely could have been handled better, and some not. Like we didn't have masks. Our authorities said that it could actually be
worse to wear one.
Exactly. Like people would feel safe when they weren't, and they weren't using it the right way. They were like pulling it down, using their hands and not changing them, you know. But then they changed that, so we started using them in like public transports and stuff like that. So there was a lot of back and forth, you know. And
I mean, it's a confusing time. It's like, how do you decide what's right? And yes,
we didn't also. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I was just saying we have the mask mandates too, and half at least people like when I go into a store or whatever, they're not wearing them, right? You know, it's like it's like a for show, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Sweden also had a unique take, I think, on the lockdown perspective. Like the authorities or the department or whatever that gave the recommendations to the government they have to have a child perspective in all the decisions they make. And one of the main points of not doing lockdown was that it would be terrible for kids, for their education and for their well-being. Like, a lot of kids get their lunch through school. All the kids get lunch through school, and some wouldn't be able to get food properly at home, and and would experience violence at home. So I think the child perspective was it played a big role in that, and I still think that it was a good thing that kids could keep going to school.
Yeah, for sure. I know. I think that was, I feel lucky that I have two, but I felt so bad for kids who were only children in their households where they're probably like so bored, and then the parents are still trying to work, from home or whatever they're trying to do, like my kids got really close during that time, like at least the 2 months where it was really, really strict. But yeah, I mean, it's just hard all around, Yeah. Anyway. Well, on that note, I just want to say thank you so much, Fanny. Is that right? Fanny?
Yes.
Zedenius?
Perfect.
Right? Zedenius? Okay. I want to make sure that I introduced you properly, too, in the beginning.
Fanny.
Right, Fanny. But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you are crunched for time, but it was so nice getting to know you better.
The same. I had a blast. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you. And I know I will be seeing you on Instagram and looking out for your Domestika course probably around this summer.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again, Fanny. Bye. Check the show notes of each episode to get the website and Instagram for each of the fiber artists I speak with. Be sure to give them a follow. And you can view video from this podcast on niromastudio.com/thefiberartistpodcast. If you enjoy the Fiber Artist Podcast, go to Apple Podcasts to subscribe, rate, and review. Thank you for listening.